All right, so Robert, we got 9 minutes. Can you do it in 9 minutes?
I think so.
Okay, awesome. Well, tell us your story.
All right. July 11th, 2011, I was involved in a near fatal motorcycle accident. I don't remember too much about the accident except that I was distracted by a truck and turned to look to see where the truck was, and when I turned around there was a car stopped in front of me that changed lanes. I tried to stop the motorcycle, went into a slide, and the last thing I remember is thinking to myself, I'm going to hit this guy, and then coming off the handlebars, or coming off the seat, holding on to the handlebars, and then everything went black. Next thing I remember, I was standing in a dome of like a light, yellow light, looking down on the accident. I could see two cars, I could see the motorcycle, I saw my body, and I saw two guys kneeling beside me and one guy standing up. And I remember being real fearful, not for myself, but for my wife and my youngest son, thinking, what are they going to do? I mean, here, I just, I might not make it through this. I'm up here and my body's down there. And off to my right, I noticed it was a perfect 360-degree circle of like diamond, brilliant light that was shining. It was so that you could look into it, didn't hurt your eyes, but it was so bright, it was unreal. Out of that light walked a young man in his mid-30s, shoulder-length reddish-brown hair. And what was funny about it was he was wearing a pair of khakis and a polo shirt, which I really think that robes really distract me or just make me nervous. And I think that when Jesus comes to you, He's going to come to you in a manner that you're comfortable with. That's the way I dressed. But as He came to me, we were both looking down. I felt Him put His hand on my shoulder, so I knew it wasn't a hallucination because I could actually feel the weight of His hand and the heat from His hand on my shoulder. With His other hand, He pointed down and said, you fought this battle once before, you're going to have to fight it one more time. I think because the battle He was talking about was the cancer that I had just found out that I had in February of the same year before the accident. And I had gone through chemo twice a week and my levels were way down to the acceptable level. I beat that one battle. And now here I was on the ground from a motorcycle accident, and I felt as though that, that's the battle He was talking about. When He said that, everything went black again, and I started hearing voices. Heard people asking me questions. How are you? How do you feel? Do you feel this? Do you feel that? La la la, go on. But it was like I was here, and the voices I were hearing were down here. Then I heard myself answering these people, but my voice was still down here. Gradually that went together, and when I finally was back in the body where I could hear where I really was, people talking to me, the last thing I remember was someone said, we're losing him again, and everything went black. I remember waking up in the hospital. I remember my wife coming over to me. I remember the nurse saying, he's opened his eyes, he's coming around. My wife came over to me, told me how much she loved me, and asked me how long I'd been in the hospital. How long did I think I'd been in the hospital? Well, as vain as I am, I thought, well, I had an accident a couple of days ago. Probably 2 days, 3 days, maybe, I don't know. She said, you've been here for 33 days. They've almost lost you twice while you were here. But the power of prayer that everybody could put out there is, I think, is what really what made me come through, what pulled me through. But the big experience that I had was when I met Jesus. And when he put his hand on my shoulder, it was just like all the anxiety that was built up inside of me and the fear, it's just like releasing a balloon and refilling it with warm air. It was the most peaceful feeling I think I ever had. If he had reached his hand the other way and asked me to walk through the light, at that point I was ready to go. Matter of fact, I was kind of a little disappointed that he didn't ask me to
Thank
go
God.
through the light, but it just wasn't my time. And believe me, Jesus is real. And if anybody wants me to go toe-to-toe with skeptics, I'm here to do it.
Awesome.
And if anybody wants to ask me questions about it, I'll tell them that Jesus is real. And the first thing you have to do is what else changed my life, is not only accept Jesus as your Savior in your heart, but ask Jesus to be your best friend. I don't know how many people have done that, but I have. And it's changed my life in a way that just, it's amazing. It's like being reborn. It's like starting a life over, seeing the world as different, watching every day, be born, and watching the colors and what God has created. And that's my story.
That's pretty awesome. Thank you.
Did he have really